Good morning. I'm Melissa. I am the lovely lady behind the camera of Layered and Lovely. And today I thought I would take you on a tour of my craft space. Well, my small craft space. So let's get started. We are going to start up top. And I have my Sizzix die cut machine, paper, my Cricut Joy Extra, my Cricut Joy paper towels, and then up at the very top behind everything you can see my scan and cut. And then this is my craft cabinet. Hold on. As you can see. And this is where I keep most of my crafting supplies and other things. So the first shelf has all of my papers. And I need to go through and put some tabs in between them. Second shelf kind of just holds my personal stuff. And then down below that, I have my serger. And then I have my foam tape, my USB drives, some different notebooks, my manual for my sewing machine, some paper, my ironing pad for when I do vinyl, and then also my scoreboard. And then below that, you can see that I keep tablets in there, another project that we will be working on, and then some craft stuff for my kids. And then over here is my hoop mat, which I use for when I'm hooping things for my embroidery machine, my Bible, and an old stamping pad, which sometimes I still pull out and use. And then underneath that are cords. And then down below we have these are all of my die cuts, some stamps, and then more die cuts in this one, and stamps. And then up here I have all of my stamps, and then my scan and cut tools, sewing labels, more crafting stuff, all of my foam tape, and then more stamp stuff and glue bottles. And then up here I have a cup, some plastic cups which were given to me, my transfer tape, and alcohol. Then down below I keep some of my tools that I use, some brushes, some more brushes that I use when I'm making cards. And then here are all of my cards, and more, and some tape refill. And then in this one is just extra die stuff that I've cut out that I haven't used. Down here I have my bobbin machine, extra bobbins, a cut or a thing to cut material. And then more tape refills. And sewing stuff. Down here is kind of my junk area. I keep batteries, ruler, just excess stuff that I don't have a space for. And then I also keep my Tim Holtz watercoloring set, which needs to go, whoops, needs to go up here. And then in this drawer, I keep iron-on stickers, transfer stickers, regular stickers, and then I also have all of my Cricut Joy pens, some mini compositions, which I give as gifts. I will put, I will embroider a little cover for them and give them out as a gift. It makes for a quick and easy gift. And then I have a paper bead maker and more washi tape. And then down in this section, which it does not have a light, is more rubber stamps. A whole collection of them. And then down below that is where I keep my sewing thread and sewing stuff, just excess material and stuff. Over here is my desk, and I have a light, and then my regular everyday stuff that I use: paper, tape, foam tape, my Sidekick cutting pads, scissors, weeding tools, cutting tools, all of the stuff. And then over here I have all of my gel pens, and then rulers and a black marker. Well, I take that back, 2 black markers. And then up here is what you don't see. Obviously you see that, my desk space. But over here I have my thermometer, my phone holder, and then in here I keep more sewing stuff. Scissors, needles, just different stuff that I might need. Yeah. And then down here is where I keep all of my Memento ink, my Versamark, and tape, more ink, and my stamp press. Then over here I have my Inspired by Life. That's what I stamp on each of the back of my cards. I have some post-it notes. I don't know what that is. my glue, my lovely pink lamp, more sewing stuff. And then over here, hidden in the corner, is my Gemini Junior. And then this is where my computer normally is, but my husband was using it, so. And it's not mine, it's ours. And then over here is my fan, which I keep on almost 24/7. And then junk stuff and my goodie stash. And then over here I have all of my markers, washi tape, embossing powder, and I use alcohol pads. And then over here I have my extra stamps, stuff that I might use regularly, or if I'm planning on doing something, I'll keep them in here. And then down below that is my Misty, the laser thing to help me, you know, when I'm aligning letters so those are straight. My labeler, and then some storage, a drive to hold, you know, different stuff on for our computer. Yeah, and that's just sitting on a table. And then underneath here is my AccuQuilt die cutter to cut material. Then if you look up here, I have my little trash can, my tape dispenser, my pencil sharpener, my stamp cleaner, my little vacuum, another phone holder, my sticker maker, those little clips that I use, and my tape. And then this is an embroidery picture that I did on balsa wood, and I embroidered it in class, and it came out very pretty. And then up here I keep my lint roller for when I'm sewing, a ruler. Up here I keep my needles, thread and scissors, and pins for when I'm quilting. And then more scissors. And then in there are my clips for when I'm sewing, and just random things. And then up here, when it's organized right, I keep my rotary cutter, my pinging shears, my applique scissors, another pair of scissors, some clips, well, snips is what I call them, and they work well like when you're cutting extra thread off of your embroidery stuff. And then up there is supposed to be a sewing light. I don't know where the other half of it went. And then up here I just keep a pretty little looking little bottle, more needles, pens, markers, sewing markers, yeah. And then down here is my Sizzix stamping tool, and then I bought this a while back, and it's the Sizzix circular thing to make different stuff, and it works okay. It's not bad. And then I have my grip mat, which I don't use very often. And then in here I have just stickers, more stickers, and then back there I keep my cup holder for when I'm doing vinyl, like on the girls' tumblers. And then down here is a junk full of sewing stuff. Yeah. And then over here is more books on quilting and sewing and more sewing. And then another machine for cutting material. And then over here I keep my embossing folders, stamps, more stamps. I have some die cuts in here, like my circular die cuts, my square die cuts, just things that I might use every single day. And then I have my word stamps, my stencils, my flower stamps, my random stamps, travel stamps, and all of my embossing folders, which I don't have many. And then back here is just extra stuff. And I also keep more foam tape back there. Over here I have all of my embroidery threads, more embroidery thread, quilting stuff. These are holders for your quilts, so when you're doing stuff, yeah. And then in this drawer I keep more sewing stuff, needles, 505. And then over here is where I keep all of my cutting mats for my die cutting machines. And then over here is where I also keep my heat gun and just some random tools. Then on this side I keep a little scoreboard, my my big cutting mat or cutting machine, and it's not really big, my small cutting machine, and then of course what I use to hold all of my die cut stuff on. And in between those I have my ironing board, which I made, another book, heat transfer vinyl, and regular vinyl. So that is basically my space. And as you can see, it's not huge, but it does work. Alright, well, that's the end of my craft room tour. If you enjoyed this video and liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video.